in the Brule Sioux Tribe of Plains Indians, who for thousands of years lived in the grasslands and river valleys between the Great Lakes and the Rocky Mountains, the young man considers that his time has come for a vision quest, a solemn and solo journey to hear the spirit voices and to see if it is his true destiny to become a great medicine man among his people. For many weeks he had turned his head up to the distant mountain, where his forefathers were said to have consorted with the spirits and returned to become great hunters and warriors. The young man carried himself in high opinion, never lacking a sense of personal destiny, but to become great among his tribe, it was necessary that the spirits intervened. Respect at his age was not gained merely by self-belief. The tribe heard his petitions and began to pray for him and remind him of their ancient and honest ways. Through the long winter they prepared him, feeding him corn and meat and making him strong, and leaving beside every meal an offering to the spirits. His relatives, cut out of the same confidence, believed the young man already had the power to achieve a great vision indeed. It was a God-sent morning in late spring when the young man began his quest. The grass was high in the fields, and the leaves of deep green had returned to fill the forests. On his heels were two of the tribe's medicine men, who at a distance from the fires put the young man in a sweat lodge, which they now had steaming with a great white heat. The ritual purification was no quick preparation. The steam was thick with the sweet incense, and the young man was fanned with an eagle's wing and rubbed down with sage. At last they brought him out of the sweat lodge, wide-eyed and possessed of a keen delirium. Up the slope they prepared his vision pit under the shadow of a towering boulder, and with tobacco bundles in hand, they made offerings to the spirits. And leaving the young man with a hard look, they told him to cry and plea for the Great Spirit's sign, a sign that would show him how to become a great medicine man. For from now on, he was on his own. Long hours passed until nightfall, where the young man trembled, crying loudly from within the pit under the star-speckled clouds. He did not sleep, for fear kept his eyes restlessly searching the mountainside. And his constitution of boldness soon returned him to his cocky ways. He smiled darkly, thinking how ready he was to grapple with the spirits to earn his vision. And yet no dream, no apparition appeared to put him at ease. And when the mists of dawn enfolded his pit, a voice came from all directions, saying, "There are many other spots to choose for all your wailing, young man. Why not chance by them to plea for your dream? All night you have disturbed us, birds and animals alike, nay, keeping even the trees awake. You are a brazen youth, unworthy and unprepared for any vision you seek." The young man braced himself with anger, his stomach shrinking from the fast, the primal smells of wet earth and salted skin mixing in the back of his throat. But he did not heed to the voice's taunt, and for another day he stuck it out, begging for enlightenment. And night returned, colder and more fearful than the first, his hunger rising for attention. Now the clouds covered any chance for stars, and he cried out, clutching himself in paralytic terror, unable to move in the blackness as the thoughts of wolves and gnashing fangs played in his mind. And above him, that towering boulder over the pit loomed like a smiling predator. At first he wondered if his terror had tricked him, but at an arm's length away the boulder cracked and fell, stopping just before it was about to crush him into the pit. Slack-jawed, his hackles raised with chills coursing through his skin, the young man watched as the boulder rolled up the slope and all the way to the top of the mountain, and then whatever held the stone released, and a tumbling snap resounded as the boulder broke the earth, rolling back down and straight for him. At the last moment, the young man whirled out of his fear and leapt up and out of the pit, wailing in the night. The boulder slammed straight into it, crushing the pit and launching debris and stripped saplings through the air. But the boulder again rolled up by some unseen means, straight up the mountain in the trail of its destruction. He did not have to watch the black rock again to know what came next. "I'm leaving," he shouted, scrambling down the mountainside. Heaving for breath, he stumbled, slipped, and moaned, catching cuts and bruises. Strange and unseen things fleed in the trees around him. All the while the booming boulder grew louder, and it bounced, leapfrogging over his head and embedding deep into the earth before him. At this he became truly frenzied to escape, forgetting pain and reason, falling and rising again, until the boulder, having rolled up the mountain a fourth time, was falling and close to his heels again. And the boulder launched into the air, higher now, and when it came down in his path it threw him off his feet. He did not know how long he ran until he was off the mountainside, limping and clutching his ribs toward the faint fire's glow of his tribe. At the feet of the medicine men, the young man bowed. "I have received no vision, gained no knowledge." But the medicine men pointed back to the mountain, still hung in shrouds of mist in the darkness. Grinding his teeth, the young man slogged back to the vision pit, and at dawn the voice through the mist returned. "Begone," it said, "stop disturbing us." And after the third day, the night air itself seemed out to devour him. He was starved more than he'd ever been, his bowels twisted tight against his spine. But he did not weep. He scowled to the crushed dirt, determined to endure despite knowing what danger he waded in. And at dawn's next peak to the east, the voice came again, tinged with anger. "Why? Why are you still here?" The young man hung his head, imagining the shame he would endure bringing such ill news back to his village after leaving them so sure of a vision. "I can't help myself," he said. "This is my last day, and I'm crying my eyes out. I know you told me to go home, but who are you to give me orders? I don't know you. I'm going to stay until my uncles fetch me, whether you like it or not." And at once there was a mighty rumble from the mountain peak. The young man stared up with grim knowing, the boulder again. This time, balanced on the very peak of the mountain, and lightning struck the great rock, launching it into a fast descent right for the vision pit. Much as the last time, the young man scrambled for escape, and returned to his village with his head hung low. And to his uncles he whispered, "It was all for nothing. I have made the spirits angry." But his eldest uncle shook his head. "Well, you did find out one thing. You went after your vision like a hunter after buffalo, or a warrior after scalps. You were fighting the spirits. You thought they owed you a vision. A vision comes as a gift born of humility, of wisdom, and of patience. Think about it. If from your vision quest you have learned nothing but this, then you have already learned much."
Hey,